Welcome to another brand new week. I said brand new. I guess it is a brand new week. Well, it's a new week, but it's an old show and an even older guest. But you're not that old, so that doesn't make any sense. Well, we've got Wizzrobe back. Look at that!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yay!
Yay! We've got Wizzy on the show. Wizzy, I like the Jabated shirt. That's cool,
Yeah, I thought it would be fitting, so I'm like, I'm gonna wear this.
dude. I really like it. Wizzy, for those of you who don't know, entered CEO, a tournament that I usually go to, but I didn't go this year. I don't know because I didn't go this year. Whatever. But
Yeah.
did really good at CEO. You got second.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
You got your revenge on Jmook, which was crazy. I watched that
Yeah.
set.
Yeah. I did.
You beat H-Box.
Yeah.
You who else did you play? Did you play anyone else?
I played against Moth, the ice climber.
Oh,
yeah.
Mob's really good. Yeah.
Watch
Yeah.
that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting tournament. I think people who haven't watched the matches from that should probably go watch because it was Plup and Wizzy both first tournament in a couple months, which is cool.
Yeah, I pretty much been having people nonstop tell me I loved your run like a million times, so that's a good sign.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, always a pleasure to watch you on the sticks, you know.
Thanks.
But
Appreciate it.
now we get to hear from you, you know. I feel like there's this image of Wizzy, like the platonic the platonic image, which is like this like lethal Captain Falcon player, but there's also a soft, fleshy interior, which is this human being. that
Yeah.
You are. So we need to talk.
Yeah.
You know, we need to talk to you and find out about that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How you doing, PP?
Doing good, and I'm glad to have Wizzy on. I think this is an episode which I think may wind up being a little more dear to my heart, as Wizzy has talked about. Just to kind of get into it, I mean, he has talked about having some health issues for a number of years now. Relatable content moment, and after not going to anything for a while, he shows up and performs admirably, and so this is something that I truly understand the hustle, the struggle, if you will. And also, I think it's really admirable to show up and perform like that after not competing for so long. And so I'd really love to hear where you're at in your journey with that, and and what you might say to other people that are trying to balance health and melee.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That was pretty touching because I was like, oh, PP's gonna be here because I know you've had the struggles too, obviously, and but yeah, for me, I just it's one of those things where I've been struggling with health issues, but especially like within the past these main new health issues started like a year and a half ago, and yeah, it's been a big struggle for me. I've been kind of working on it nonstop, and I've made some improvement, and that's kind of like my philosophy was kind of like at the rate my health was going, I felt like I wasn't going to be 100% for a very long time. So my philosophy like months ago was kind of like if I can at least reach like if 100% is like me back to normal, if I can reach like 40% or something improvement, then I'll just try to like come back again and see how it goes, like start competing again. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I made some improvements, but I'm just not fully back to where I need to be. But I've had to come up with like a slew of like techniques and stuff to help mitigate the symptoms and stuff. And I think I've figured out some things that help me, even outside of the health issues, that some things that have helped me with competing in general. And yeah, trying to think what else to say. If you guys have any specific questions?
Well, I mean, it just almost sounds like you become more resourceful overall in a way because you're thinking about approaching competition and you as a competitive human being differently, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of the type to like think about, what can I do better and like outside of the game, because I feel like, obviously everyone's like, how do I get better at the game? How do I get better at this matchup? But I've always been a person who's thought about, what can I do outside of the game, whether that's like maybe like meditation or diet or something. That's something I've always thought about, and that's kind of ramped up even farther because of like my health issues. Because I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff comes down to health. Like if you're feeling healthy, you're generally going to play well. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
healthy body,
Mhm.
healthy mind, all that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like everything's moving in a positive direction, right? Everything seems like it's going well.
Yeah, everything's moving in a positive direction, especially the fact that it's not getting worse. Um, there's a lot of times where I feel like I've like plateaued at my health issue, but I it hasn't been getting worse, so that's good. And I just had a thought, but I just kind of forgot it. Um, I was going to expand upon it, but I just forgot. But yeah, in general, it's moving in a positive direction. And I think with this tournament, since it was my first tournament in a while, like I still believe I'm good at the game and all that. Like I can beat all these people and all that, but there is kind of like that like kind of wonder in the back of your mind if you haven't been to a tournament in a long time. It's like, you know, what if I just randomly do bad because it's been a while? Like I also on the other side of that, like I could also randomly do good. So I felt that too, but there's just a lot of like, you know, what ifs, I guess, when you haven't competed in a while.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were like, I don't know. I lurked your stream pretty frequently, so I mean, I know you're kind
Okay.
of practicing for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you felt like melee wise, like kind of with the holistic stuff notwithstanding, you felt melee wise like, okay, I'm kind of ready.
hmm
Like I should be, should be all right. But I guess, like you said, there's always that what if.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like I mean it's kind of random, but I feel like a lot of people like if they don't see you in a tournament for a while, they kind of have this feeling of just like, oh, he hasn't been to tournament, so maybe he's just going to be bad. But I feel like
Yeah.
for me, I've been
Mhm.
practicing with people still pretty much this whole time, and it's like, you know, I'm still doing good versus all these top players. I'm going even. Maybe I'm slightly
Mhm.
beating them in friendlies, and so like I feel like, you know, if I'm doing good in the friendlies, then pretty consistently, then I mean, I assume it'd be the same for tournament, you know, for the
Mhm.
most part.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like I almost wonder, like, for you, because obviously you have this, like you said, a lot of your preparation and whatnot is more outside of the game,
Yeah.
at least right now. Do you
Uh-huh.
feel like that takes away some of the emphasis? Like maybe, I mean, maybe things were, let's say, like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
let's say 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, do you think you had more energy to like prepare for like specific people or something? Is that something that's harder to do these days?
Because of the health issue?
Yeah, I don't
Or
know. Just because you said if your focus is more outside of the game, do you feel like
yeah,
that takes away from your ability to focus on? Let's say you want to prepare for like a specific opponent, like Hungry Box or something, Plop, whatever.
maybe. It's hard to say because like I think if you manage your time well, you kind of have time for both, but I've kind of been
Hmm.
kind of researching a lot of health stuff for the past year, so like I do spend time with that. But you know, I think for that it's more about like balancing your time, you know, with like okay, doing the health stuff when you can, but then also setting time aside to practice the actual
Hmm.
game.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. For me, that specific thing is I feel like I've been managing my time pretty well. Trying to think. But yeah, I mean overall, like yeah, it is a bit harder than it was.
Hmm.
Like since I'm like I have like symptoms to think about and stuff.
Yeah. Really cool though. I mean, yeah, just again, we just wanted to echo like, dope that I think things worked out. At least it seems like they worked out pretty well at
Yeah,
CEO.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like you played great.
It was pretty reassuring because I think part of something I was hoping for the tournament was like, you know, not necessarily like, oh, I need to win or anything crazy, even though obviously I want that. It was
Hmm.
more of like,
Hmm.
can I do like kind of how I typically do? Can I like do good, beat good people, and just like, you know, assure myself that, you
Hmm.
know, I'm still in this? And I mean, it definitely assured me. So it was a really good boost of confidence, I'm not gonna lie.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
like
that.
kind of
Yeah.
watching it, like if I didn't know that if I literally just was like a casual
Uh-huh.
Melee fan and I watched you play at CEO, I wouldn't have known, right? I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
It looked like, you know, business as usual, Wizzy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Definitely.
it was funny. And the other story coming out of the weekend that I thought was kind of neat. I mean, is it fair to say like you're pretty good friends with Plup?
Yeah. Yeah.
do y'all talk about? Because I mean, I think it was kind of funny. Like I remember I saw a really funny thumbnail that was like, I don't know, it was like for some YouTube video, but it was like J-Mook and HBox who've been going to every tournament, and then it was like, and then the background was like a big buff guy. It was like Wizzy and Plup at their first tournament months, and it was like, it was
Yeah.
just funny that it was you two who got first and second, even though, like, obviously Plup also, not having health issues, but Plup also, I guess, for travel and various reasons, also hasn't gamed
Yeah.
anything in a while.
Yeah.
Did y'all talk about that at all? Like, was it kind
No,
of funny being like,
no, we didn't think I don't think we thought about that at all. I mean, I don't know what he thinks, but I think if I were to guess, like he feels similar to me where like um just because you don't go to anything for like a couple months doesn't mean like you're just gonna show up and get destroyed. Like I
mm-hmm,
think
mm-hmm,
it's more it's not as hard to like maintain your skill as people think. Like as long as you're like practicing the game, that's what matters ultimately. Like if you're you're maintaining and you're practicing and you're like just because you don't go to a tournament for like a few months or
mm-hmm.
however long doesn't mean like it's automatically like, oh, he's not going to do as good or they're not going to do as good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Like, I have this weird impression of like, I feel like because of like the pandemic almost, I feel like there was this kind of period where it was hard to tell because everything moved online for a while. And so
Yeah, yeah.
when tournaments started opening up again, like I feel like, certain players were like right back where they left off, whereas, certain other players, depending on how their motivation was, how their practice was, like people were kind of all over the place for a while. It was kind of hard to
Yeah.
tell. It like screwed up everyone's sense of time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people talk about it that way. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, it does kind of feel like since COVID, it's been hard to have like 100% of like the top player base in attendance or whatever, or like, because like, yeah, it feels like even with the super majors, like I wouldn't be there for a while, or Plup wouldn't be there or something. So,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, I think, and I feel like that's been happening, like especially since COVID. So I think you have a point for sure.
mm-hmm.
Something I was a little curious about is why CEO? Are you planning on going to other things? Because you wanted to go back and visit Florida. I don't think you're in Florida right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm in Florida again.
okay, gotcha.
I just came back recently though.
Oh,
Thought I
cool.
heard that, but I just wanted to clarify. So is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
part of why you went to CEO because it was close, or?
Yeah. I mean, that is part of it, but I also just thought like it was far enough away where like for example, some people asked me to go to Tipped Off, but like I felt like that was a little bit too soon. Like
Mm,
CEO being like June
Mm-hmm.
23rd, it was like far enough away where it was like kind of in the right spot of like when I felt like I would be more ready. So the timing was good. It was nearby, which is good. I don't have to get a plane ticket. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always enjoyed CEO. I've always gone, except I think I missed it last year. But aside from that, I've always gone to the CEOs for Melee, and I just felt like it was like the perfect tournament to go back to. It just kind of checked all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So with your great performance and
Mhm.
everything and your confidence boost from that, are you looking to do more? Are you saying, okay, I'm going to take this confidence, put it back into my health? Like how are you thinking about things right now?
Yeah, so my plan was, I wanted to see how the tournament would go most of all, but I think assuming it went decently well, I definitely wanted to see if I could just kind of start getting back to tournaments. I don't know if it'll be more of it won't be like oh, I'll go to every tournament kind of thing, but it will be a kind of I do want to like kind of get back in, like be just somewhat regularly going to tournaments again. So I think I'll do that. Like I'm
Mm,
going to they raised money for me, but I'm going to like a Wisconsin regional in mid-July.
okay.
And then I'm thinking about going to Smash Factor, but I have to figure that out. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, I'm assessing my options right now. But yeah, I am trying to get back in, and yeah, it's definitely more of a like, okay, I did good. Okay, let's try and get back to it. See what we can do.
Is part of that you want to see what the plane flight and how that's going to be for the Wisconsin event and then kind of take that and go from there? Because it kind of seems like, you're taking it one step at a time. So I'm just kind of curious about the thought process.
Um, well, the Wisconsin thing is like I have a friend there who's been kind of asking me to come for like 2 years now, and so this is like, okay, he raised the money for me. I don't have a sponsor, so it is hard to get to tournaments. And so, he raised the money for me. He's gonna house me, so it's like, okay, the financial part is mostly taken care of. So I'll go. And then, yeah, I think that's also the other part of it. Like, yeah, I'm pretty. That's a good way to put it. I'm taking it like one step at a time. Just like,
Mhm.
okay, CEO went well. Let's see how this goes. Okay, this went well. Let's just, one step at a time, like you said.
Yeah, well, I mean, wholeheartedly, I wish you the best
Yeah.
with all of that work. It's incredibly important, and I think a lot of people see that, and I think it gives them hope. So I think what you're doing
Thank
is
you.
awesome, and keep
Wizzy
it
I
gives
up.
me
appreciate
hope.
it. I really
Wizzy does give
appreciate
me
it.
hope. Wizzy also gives Bobby Scar hope. Bobby has said that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I love Bobby
he's a
Scar.
big. Yeah, me too. He's a big Wizzy fan.
Yeah.
Why are plane? PP, do you have a thought on this? I'm curious what both of you think because I was thinking about it. Why are planes so draining? What is up with airplanes? Why are they like that?
I
Don't they
think
suck?
airplanes are tough, and
They
I
are,
think
right?
actually a lot of the problem. I mean, some of it is the airplane itself, but I actually think
Mhm.
some of the issue is just airports too, because you're at uncomfortable spaces. Everyone's in a
Correct.
bad mood.
Yeah.
You're
Everyone's
like,
in a bad mood. I
yeah,
Everyone's
feel
in a
like.
bad mood.
that affects you, and I think also like like you're like, okay, well I got to do this stuff quickly, or I got to wait here, and then you're like waiting, and then maybe you're in your head about something, and you're standing in one spot, you can't really move. I think being able to move around is really helpful. Like even like in your chair, like if I wiggle like this, I can do this here, but even on planes, I can't really even
You
move that
can.
much,
Yeah, you're
right?
like
Yeah,
crammed.
Yeah,
you're
so
crammed.
Yeah.
there, and then there's the recycled air on the planes and everything. So I think there are a lot
Yeah.
of factors that go into it,
Mm,
and there are even more when you're doing time zone changes. That of course we've heard and seen the impacts like from Amsa's results alone, right? Where
yeah,
he had much less jet lag, and then his results went way up, right? So much less
Yeah.
airplane, much better result. How about that?
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a good point.
It's like a big commitment to like go to the airport. It's like, I don't know, I guess maybe for like, let's say like a local, like you're like, I feel like going today, drive 30 minutes, you're there, like
Hmm.
I feel like leaving by. And then like that's you kind of have more freedom. But when you're going there, you're flying somewhere, it's like, okay, gotta go to the airport, sit there, sit on the plane, get in the Uber. Like there's just a lot of
Yeah.
like you're very committed to like this chunk of time, and it's
Mhm.
it's not the most enjoyable usually, but it's
I had a
okay.
dream. I had a dream last night. That sometimes you have a dream and you kind of forget, but then you remember it in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
I had a
yeah.
Ah.
dream last night that I was panicking because like either a flight got canceled or I missed
Oh
a flight
yeah,
or something.
there's
It was
that
like a
too.
bad airport dream. I
Oh
have
my
bad
goodness.
airport dreams. It's
Oh my
miserable.
That
goodness.
is weird.
I don't think I have them that
Oh
often, but
no.
I definitely have them sometimes.
Oh
Like
no.
Interesting.
yeah. Like I've lost my I mostly don't have bad school dreams anymore, finally in my
Oh,
30s.
Okay.
nice.
Those still happen from time to time. But
Oh
now
geez.
I have bad airport dreams. So it's like a whole new phase of my life and it's crazy.
Airport,
It's
the school for 30-year-olds.
yeah, that's
Mm,
right. It is actually in some ways, in weird ways. At least if you're traveling a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. Not yeah, it's
sure.
really you
Yeah.
really don't want to cram for those either, I think.
You don't. I want to remind people, for everybody watching, we've actually got a couple questions trickling in already. Actually, we have a bunch of questions, but for those of you watching on Twitch, do make sure you use !Radio Melee, hop in the Discord server, and I guess you have to react to the roles and read me and assign roles, and then you can go to the Submit Topics Here channel and you can talk to
Mhm.
Wizzy and PP and myself live on air and ask us whatever you want.
Every
Uh,
Tuesday, actually, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m.
yeah,
Eastern. My
Oh
chat
wow.
and Topes. Be there, be square.
you know what
Wow.
we should really do? You know what we should do? We need to update the who's in charge of this? We need to update the chat command for !Radio Melee to include instructions about
That's true.
which
That
channels
would
to
help.
react in. That would help a lot.
That would make things a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, whatever. It is what it is. So, yeah, with that said, I think we have we have a community voice question from last uh last week from Zane, who
Mhm.
asked us
Okay.
about the last Smash Fest. Asked the wider Smash community, and I am curious about this because me myself personally, I mean, I go to way fewer Smash Fest than I did because we have online now, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
you know what I'd say? I'd say like for like Ultimate Smash Fests are probably more relevant.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about this, and it's like weird because like Slippy's awesome and Rollback is the future, and it's obviously it's great. Like I can literally play with you, or I could play with PP
Yeah.
like right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about like, oh, the alt guys like they still do Smash Fest as like
Yeah.
their core form of practice, and it's
Uh-huh.
like, huh, I'm kind of jealous in a weird way. I'm kind of jealous. Like that's like kind
I
of
mean,
nice.
That's what we used to have, right? We used to say, we're different from those other esports. We do everything in person, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
now we have an insane internet rollback, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
there is a little bit of a trade off that can happen there.
Yeah.
Well, you can read the first one. You
Yeah.
can read the first answer.
You
PP.
got it. From Muck Manor 7774. They say, unfortunately, the last Smash Fest they went to was a very, very long time ago. But back when I was in college, my roommates and I would host Smash Fests at our apartment in NYC. And for a time, we were basically the only people in the city who were hosting fests, at least according to some of the PR'd PM players who used to go to Nebulous. Rip that local. True. Not really much.
Nebulous.
Yeah, good call out there. Not really much of a point to this other than I just got great memories of that time. My roommates and I never really got to be great PM players, but all the really good players would still come for our fest because they were just glad anyone was hosting it all. If you get a chance to go to a local Smash Fest, definitely do it. It is such a great time. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even
Ryan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we shout out the TOs all the time for what they do, but I think people who host Smash Fest, I think, there's that sense of community that can be built in a really different way there when there's not even that extra pressure involved, which is kind of cool.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
So,
what's the biggest or most memorable, or maybe the answer is just I've never done it, but I assume each of you have hosted at least one Smash Fest in your life. And my question was going to be like, do you have like a memorable or like the biggest Smash Fest you ever hosted or anything like that?
I've never hosted one.
Maybe you never hosted. You never hosted?
I lived too far from everyone at the time. There might be people that play in the city now, but they didn't when I was living.
What about you, Wizzy?
Do I have to host it or I just have to be there?
Okay, be there too. Yeah, be there's fine.
Okay, because if you have to be there, I mean, honestly, I remember so many memorable Smash Fests like back in the day and like CFL. Like, I don't even know like which one because there's just so many. Like, let me think. I know like, do you remember Cherry?
Yeah.
Raging Cherry?
Yeah.
Like back years ago, he would host Smash Fest, and like a lot of people would go to them. Those were pretty big. There was a couple times I had like little Smash Fests at my house, my parents' house when I was younger. They were never big because it's just like me in my room and stuff. But like, I remember Hungry Box came over one time. It was like the one time he came over to my house, so that was cool. It was like him and Plup and a couple others.
Oh wow!
But Gatsu hosted a lot of Smash Fests. I feel like I remember a lot at his house and the places he stayed at. I don't know. There's just so many. Like I definitely went to a lot of Smash Fest. Definitely helped me get good. All that practice.
Was there a memorable Smash Fest for you, Toph? Were you asking because there was something that stood out for you?
Well, since we're kind of modifying the question to include Smash Fest you've just been to. Do you have any that you've just been to, PP?
Oh yeah,
I'll go last.
There were some locally that I mean it was so much fun. We would have, I mean, there would be, I'm trying to think of just fest, so not tournaments. So there would be, we would have like, it's always kind of funny because the small Smash Fest that can just be like anywhere from 3 to 5, 3 to 6 people, or it always feels kind of perfect in a way because maybe you're grinding, or maybe like maybe there's like in North Carolina there would be like 2 better players there, and then maybe you'd have like some people that are there to goof off or whatever. So you'd always just get a good mix of goofing off and some good practice and just a bunch of nonsense. So for me, I always found the combination of having fun with Melee and like training more seriously to always kind of go together, because that's kind of the way that I was brought up in the scene was marrying those. So I love that.
Yeah, it's like the perfect balance.
I had a Smash Fest. It was before some major. Back when I had a couple roommates, we had like a house, and I just remember like I don't know. I remember like Armada came over,
Oh.
and I don't know. I just thought it was fun. There were like 30 people there. I think Mike Hayes was there.
Oh wow.
Fat Goku was there. I remember playing teams with like Fat Goku and like Armada and like one other dude. But we had like, the kind of Smash Fest where we had like people brought over their CRTs and stuff. So we had like 6 or 7 setups going. And like to this day, I just remember it was really lit because like to this day, like I'll run into people where they're like, oh yeah, I've been to your house. Like I was at that Smash Fest with Armada, and I was like, like I didn't even like I didn't even know like all the people there because like there were so many people that came in that like, I had no way of knowing the whole list of people that were actually there. But yeah, it was like either before or after. I want to say it was that tournament that Mango. It was like it wasn't a major. It was like a regional. It was like don't like I'm not yelling or do you fox with it. It was one of those. Whatever one was Mango and Armada in grand finals. It was that one. I think that might have been I'm not yelling, but.
Okay.
I mixed those up. They're all the same venue. Those were like regionals. They weren't really like majors, but they were pretty big. So it was one of those, and it was just like I don't know. I just think I think sometimes about how like I've got one CRT in my new place, but like I used to stock up CRTs so I could host, and like man, I may never do a Smash Fest again, but now I'm kind of motivated to do one. I don't know.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Real quick correction on my end that I realized while you were talking. I actually have
Okay.
hosted a few Smash Fests, but none of them were for Melee because I couldn't get Melee players over at the time. They were all for PM when I was in college. Because I just wanted to practice.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's close enough, or like I played some
Yeah.
PM, and there were like some people that were like kind of hungry, and my plan was always loosely like, well, I'll play a little bit of PM, but I'd be like, hey, Melee's right here.
Yeah.
I didn't push it on them, obviously, because I don't think I ever really converted any of them, but I got them to play a little bit, and it was always pretty funny. So I realized that I wasn't totally correct when I said that.
Wow. Who'd you play in PM?
Falco
and Marth.
When I wanted to win, I played Mario. Before
Man, yeah, that character was really good.
Yeah,
that character.
I always, if I could have had it, I would have had Mario be top tier in Melee. So in a way, it was kind of nice. I got to finally play the version of Mario.
You are like a Mario fan, actually. People don't necessarily know that about you. You're a Mario guy. You actually have like a Mario soul, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would like to think so. I just got too frustrated with him early on, right? I kept playing him
in Melee.
Wow.
Yeah,
he's not frustrating in PM.
No, unless you're playing against him.
Yeah, that character is really good.
Yeah.
Man, good old. Well, you played Wizzy. You played PM.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah. But was this question like something like a recent Smash Fest, or was it just any Smash Fest?
It definitely wasn't recent because mine had Armada. So
no, I meant okay.
Oh, you just meant yeah.
Yeah, the question like they're like, what was the last Smash Fest?
Yeah, it was the last one, or why haven't you been to one?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a Smash Fest I went to recently. It was like it was 64 though, but it was like it was like the first big like CFL 64 Smash Fest in like years, or one of that size at least. Because one of our better players here, his name was Marbles, Mr. Marbles. He's a 64 player. He was moving, so I think that's why everyone's like, all right, he's moving. We're all gonna come and play.
Cool. Yeah. If you guys don't know, Wizzy is also a very high level 64 player. So
yeah, the highest level.
Yeah.
The highest level.
Yeah.
Orion VE7KK says, I'm 16 years old and I love Melee, but I don't know if I'd fit in with the Melee crowd in my local scene. Since I'm pretty young and new to the scene and my only experience is on Slippy. I want to do it, but I have to overcome my social anxiety first. Yeah, that's a good point.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess the Smash Fest crowd in Melee might be a little bit older, and I don't. Well, I mean, this was the good thing with Facebook groups back in the day was that you kind of had regional groups, so like you could kind of test the waters. You'd kind of be able to gauge interest and figure out But yeah, I mean, it's not a something you have to do by any stretch of the imagination.
I will say, if you want to, though, it'd be very cool. As you can see from some of the other people, they're saying how great it is, and even us here are saying how great it is. I think it would be worth it.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
I
I
think.
would say if you social anxiety, just you could go to a local first, like a tournament.
Mm,
If your city has locals, and then you would get to like kind of meet people without in a where there's like a bunch of people, so you don't feel any you could just be a wallflower, and and then if you meet people and people talk, I would use that as kind of the way to break the ice. I feel like that's how a lot of people get started. They go to like a tournament or something, then they meet people, and then they go to fests and stuff like that. But
Yeah, one other thing I'd recommend is if you could just find one person, like if you can join your local community's Discord, they pretty much all have one. If you can just find them and then make one friend or at least one person you get along with pretty well and they'll be there. I think that really I've found that to be helpful for people that are really anxious about it. So just you can find that one person, sometimes that can make the difference.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. A little training partner situation.
I think a lot of people go to their first tournament when they're like younger, like teenager. So I think, I mean, if you're worried about the age thing, I could say like I think you can still bond with like anyone there over like the game itself. I think just talking about the game.
Yep.
Bond.
I don't know if that's the right word in there.
No, it is.
No,
It is.
bond
It's
is
very
always
powerful.
the right word.
It is
Yeah.
a very powerful word here at
We
Golden
have a lot
Guardian.
of respect for that word. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of respect for that word. The final question coming in, or answer coming in from Moop35 says, felt particularly obligated to ask this one since I'm hosting Smash Fest every week. It's like 2 months now. Lol. That's okay. 2 months that's pretty
great.
good. That's 8 or 9, depending on anyway. After a long hiatus from competition, I got back into things this year, going to locals, grinding tech, getting more involved in the scene. Doing those things made me realize I sorely missed hosting Smash Fest. There's really nothing like getting a bunch of people together, just play the game, have a good time. Long live Melee and long live the Smash Fest. Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's pretty
Well
sick.
said.
Wonder where they live. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, good answers, and I think we're pretty much ready to get into. We actually have a lot of questions lined up.
And we have an anonymous one for our first question here. I'm looking at it in the prep channel, Toph.
I'm not.
It's
you can just read it out.
I will read it out. They ask, what is Wizzy's thought process when it comes to shifting his strategy in terms of different top players of the same matchup? For example, Jmook and Plup at CEO.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just about thinking about like the difference in their styles, right? So like, they're both the two best Sheiks or whatever, and so there obviously is going to be a lot of similarities, and they're both very good, but there's going to be, it's mainly just focusing on the play style difference. Like, Jmook is going to do this, Plup is going to do this, Plup doesn't like to do this, Jmook likes to do this, so I think it's just about thinking about the play style difference and focusing on that, and not just focusing on the character alone.
Yeah.
What's like a good example of? I mean, let's say for Plup and Jmook, like something you would kind of do differently for those two.
Like verse Plup, when he tech chases, it's gonna be more like jabs on the mistech. But versus Jmook, he's gonna do very little like jabs on the mistech, if any, and he's gonna just tech chase. So I like focus on those. I like get my DI ready in different ways.
That's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know. Do you do the thing where like for me, for example, like a big one in the past has been like, let's say the Marth matchup, where I've always said, like on the reads, like I've always said there's fundamentally two types of Marths. There's like dashers and there's swingers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. There's some Marths that do a lot of aerials, they jump a lot, and then there's some Marths that dash dance a lot. They're always gonna dash. Yeah. Do you kind of do that? You make little categories for different matchups, like, or how do you conceptualize?
I think so. I think so. I don't know if I think about it exactly like that, but yeah, more or less I would say so, because like usually when it comes to like a style difference, it usually is like that. Like I feel like Plup is more jumpy, Jmook is more like grounded. So yeah, I would pretty much.
Makes sense. PB, what about you? Do you have a you have a take in your time competing?
Yeah, I mean, I think my guess might be that Anonymous might also want to know how this could apply to them. How could they shift by playing someone else? Like maybe they don't know how they're going to play. I'm just guessing. So possibly something that might be useful is, some of the stuff we've talked about. If you're playing against a Marth and you don't know whether they dash around or they swing a lot, that's one of the things you want to find out, right? Maybe you play a little more patient, get that information, then you start using it against them. And so really, I think, your early stocks, you really want to make sure you're getting some information and you start trying to use that as much as you can, especially by the end of the first game, and to use that to shift everything as the set's going on. That's if you haven't played someone before. But if you have videos of them, and then you can just kind of like look at your counters in advance. But of course, in a tournament, we don't always have that time to prepare.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Anonymous, for the question. Anonymous can't do any shout outs because of obvious reasons.
Unlucky.
But yeah,
we got a lot of questions lined up, so we're gonna keep them moving.
Let's get through it.
Let's get through it.
Yeah.
All right, our next caller is going to be not anonymous. It's going to be Ogdog's our producer. Lancer Bandit 503 is who it's going to be. What's up, Lancer Bandit 503?
You are muted.
You are muted. You have to unmute.
Testing. I'm unmuted now, right?
Yep.
Sure are. What's up?
And I'm coming through clearly despite my dollar store microphone. That's great to hear.
You sound amazing.
You're crushing it right now.
You sound good.
Thanks.
You sound clean.
Crushing it so far. Awesome. Let's move on to the question then. So my question was, as competitors returning to sustainable health, what's it like hearing, I guess, voices from the wider community asking you to return before you know you're ready? Because, I mean, despite you knowing the truth within yourself, you're still hearing a lot of, like, I guess, white noise around you saying A, B, C, or D. And I guess in general, how does it feel having people who don't truly know your current situation comment on it, whether it be like supportive or otherwise?
We have to be polite about this one, by the way, Wizzy.
Okay.
Maybe polite.
That's kind of, that was not what I had in mind, but
all right. Well, you can answer it however you want.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, you're implying a couple things, but the caller, but that's a good question. I think it's it can be kind of annoying because people don't really understand like the degree of what you're going through. I mean, I get, it's nice they want to see me back, so I guess that's good on the one hand, but it can be annoying when people don't let you like take your time. And like I think for me, I kind of know when I'm ready and I know how I feel, so I would just trust me to make the right judgment call to when I come back. But it can be annoying at times, to be honest, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel that, and I think when I didn't have many answers, I would feel much more frustrated in my own situation, and then when other people would say something to me, they're like, "Why don't you just?" or "How come you don't?" or "Have you tried?" or "Just go and then see how it is," or or whatever. And then I would be so mad. I'd be like, "You don't get it," I'd be so mad. Oh, I'd be so mad. But what's I think some of it has just gotten easier because I've just seen it go on for a while with these people, and they're just gonna keep doing it. So it's like, well, I mean, I guess you can't stop it.
You just kind of accept it.
Yeah. Right? But I think what's really helped is that the situation's just gotten better. So it's going to keep getting better, and so you're like, well, I may not know the exact day, the exact hour, the exact time, which I think is what some people want. They're like, okay, can you just promise by the end of this year? Can you promise like Genesis next year? Can you? And then you're just like, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't give you that thing you're looking for, which is what some people are asking for. But sometimes it's like, well, it will be there. It'll be there when it gets there. I know what it'll be like, at least roughly, and that's good enough for me. And all you can really do is ask for their patience. But yeah, I mean, it was just so incredibly frustrating at times. And I think sometimes, just to be perfectly honest about it, it can still be more challenging with more influential figures than with less, because you would hope that among among the people that are competing well, that we can kind of understand, special struggles that can go on among high level players, like when some people feel great depression or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially like when you feel like an isolation from people because you are such a specialist in your field, you would want
Yeah.
other competitors to support you in those times and things like
Mhm.
that. So there is a special kind of hurt, I think, when that can come from other influential figures. But even then, I think that for me personally is its own lesson that we have to really trust our own process then.
Yeah. True.
You've been dealing with it a lot longer, I suppose, PP, than
Yeah.
than Wizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not to say that I know any more than Wizzy or anything like that. It's just to say that I've gone through a few iterations of it and have my own journey with it too. So certainly, I think there are some things that I think it seems like Wizzy really relates to from what I'm saying, and we're gonna get there when we get there, and I'm really excited
Mhm.
for it. I think it'll be a great time for everyone. So I think while it is really challenging, my hope is that we look back on these times as we went through this so we could be even greater for ourselves and for the community and for Melee and for the rest of our lives. So that's my hope.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well said.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to add about that, Wizzy? I know I talked for a little bit.
Trying to think.
It's okay if not. I just
No, yeah, I think you basically covered it. I would just say, yeah, I don't want people to think I'm just like all mad about it, I guess. That was just kind of like my first instinct because people don't always understand it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now.
That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. No, it's great. It's good. I mean, I think this is great discussion and great question. But
hmm
yeah, thank you, Lancer Bandit, for calling in
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
Any shout outs for us on your way out?
Shout out to the Discord notification, putting terror into my bones every day. On a more serious note, I guess if I were to have a more serious shout out, I think I would like to shout out those people on Slippy who aren't only just on at late hours of the night and helping people who maybe work late hours get into the scene, but also those who then take that extra step and kind of act like coaches almost, even though it's through like silent, anonymous player versus player interactions. I think there's a lot
Wow.
of weird
Good shout out.
little things that help make the community accessible like that, and you could list
That's
a dozen
cool.
just like it.
That's cool. Well said.
You love the good-natured people on Slippy,
Exactly.
of which not everyone is.
Yeah, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Well, thank you
Um,
for having me on.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Dude, I felt so bad yesterday. I was supposed to play teams with Amsa, right? So I was like, okay, let me know when you're ready. And I was like, I'll warm up in unranked while, and I was like, Amsa, let me know when you're ready. So I ran into this Falco and I was like playing him. So I played him 2 games. I beat him those 2 games. And then game 3, I'm up a stock or whatever. And then Amsa's like, okay, let's play. I've got the 2 people. It's doubles, right? So it's not just Amsa waiting for me. It's 2 other people.
Oh,
3
wow.
people. So I'm like, I should go. I don't want to keep 3 people waiting. So I quit out and then I say, gotta go. Sorry, GG's.
Yeah.
And the guy like spams lol 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 lol, bad connection, backslash lol lol lol. I'm like,
What?
dude, I have to go. I'm sorry. I don't know. And I didn't know how to communicate to him. Like, dude, it's I
have teams with
I have to
Amsa.
go.
I
I'm
have
saying
teams with
gotta
Amsa.
go. Like, gotta go.
Yeah.
Not. And he's just and the guy's not having it. He's having a terrible day, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know what I can do for this guy. Feel bad for him. Hey, if you're out there, I had to go. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, yeah. Shout outs to the good natured people on Slippy.
Good shout out.
Yeah, because there's just something about it, I guess. Yeah, we got a couple more callers lined up, and we're ready to bring on our next caller. I guess this is Romaru? Romaru?
Rumaru, very good. You got it last one.
Very nice.
I got there.
Nice.
I got there.
Alright.
there.
Hello, everyone. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Love that.
Beautiful.
So, bit of a lighter, more fun hypothetical for all of you today.
Okay.
Imagine you're in a room, and you're with
Which
other
I
people. Well, in this room, in this hypothetical room,
Mm.
you are surrounded by fellow smashers who main your character. So Toph,
Okay.
like you're in with Mango, IBDW, PP, you're with, someone like Zane, Kadoran. Wizzrobe, you're with like someone like Salt and None. And imagine somebody walks into the room, they're holding a GameCube controller, they say, I've only been playing for a few months, and you have to sell this new player your main. And as bonus points, how do you think the other people in the room would sell the main?
Oh
Like-
boy.
Opposed to what are your perspectives on PP? What are your perspectives on selling Marth? What do you think Zane would say about selling Marth?
I think Kadoran
Yeah.
likes making fun of Marth players eating glue. I think he is a hindrance to the Marth cause.
Does he actually?
He makes so many jokes about it.
About
he
more
literally-
players?
Yes.
Really?
He has
I
a
don't-
short,
I
he
can't
had a
believe
short
that.
he put out like a month or two ago, a short YouTube video, and that was literally him waking up, unscrewing an Elmer's glue bottle and pretending to go glue, glue, glue.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It is on his channel, unless
That's
he took it
crazy.
down. But I swear I saw it, and I was like, I gotta
Zane's,
stop watching Ghidorah.
Zane's the opposite, right? Zane is really into how Marth is like actually kind of every time I say to Zane something along the lines of, because I play a decent amount of Marth. You know that, PP, about me. You know that about me. Yeah. And every time I say something to Zane along the lines of like, dude, I actually think Marth has it hard in this way or that way, he like his eyes light up. He's like, yeah, you get it, right? It is hard. And I could tell that it really touches him.
It's interesting that you say that, because I remember looking back to the roundtable that you guys had, and I saw a lot of people saying that Zane didn't feel like a connection with Marth. Like that was one of their takeaways.
Well,
felt from
that
the
was
roundtable.
because he said he didn't. That was because he said something about he didn't care about having like Marth plushies or
Fire
some people
Emblem.
are really into their character, right?
Okay,
Like if you like Axe's got this whole Pikachu aesthetic.
Oh
right?
yes.
And Zane's not like that with Marth.
Okay. So that's a little
Right.
different. Okay, gotcha.
Fire Emblem, yeah, Zane's never played Fire Emblem. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
That's funny.
Apparently Mango's never played Star Fox, which to me is crazy.
That's very funny too. Yeah.
Have you played Fire Emblem, PP?
Yeah.
Have you played Star Fox?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, it
So
took me
you're
a while to get Marth's Fire Emblem, but I finally got that one, and that was actually a pretty special experience, and I felt like I liked Marth more as a character after that, as a persona anyway.
There's like a Star Fox poster right there.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's
You got,
tight.
you got a Star Fox one, but not a Falcon one.
I have one somewhere. I just haven't put it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Star Fox is a great game. F-Zero is also a great game though. GX especially.
Mm-hmm.
I know we haven't gotten to the question yet, but I also wanted to say that when I finished Earthbound for the first time, which was in like pretty late, I played it pretty late into my life. I played it in like 2010 or 2011, and I was so motivated by how like the ending was really emotional, and I was like, man, Earthbound was such a great game. I'm gonna learn Ness as a secondary in Melee, and I played 2 friendlies with Ness, and I gave up. And I was like, all right, I forgot what
Now
I
you
forgot
gotta-
about.
Play him in Ultimate, where he's better.
Yeah, he does actually look fun at Ultimate, even though I hate fighting against him.
Yeah, I hate fighting him too in Ultimate.
Oh my god, he just every time you think he's gonna land, he's like some other hitbox.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he's like a mini Jigglypuff with a shine. It's horrifying. Anyway, okay, so to get to the question, I've actually talked about this with Vish a long time ago, because Vish was trying to figure out a main. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Vish was triple maining between Falcon, Fox, and Puff for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Of all characters, yeah, and he was saying like like the cool thing about Falcon at the end of the day is like he's like, yeah, I set it on Falcon because like the ideal is like any opening you can kill them, like you have the possibility you can just kill them, like the combo game's crazy and he has to kind of work to get in, but when he gets in, like he can kill you. And I was like, yeah, that's that is pretty compelling. I think for me, like with Fox, my pitch is like, I guess I'll go first and we can like move to the right. Yeah, my pitch is like, you can play the game however you want. You can play maximally aggressive. You can play maximally campy. You can full jump a lot. You can like never full jump. You can, there's a gazillion different ways you can play. They're all correct. You can be extremely technical. You can be extremely like lame and just run away and full jump a bunch and shoot lasers and like there's no wrong way to play the character and it's especially I think if you're the kind of person that like I think the only downside I think for Fox is that there's a lot of Foxes. So I think you have to be okay playing a character that's like popular, but to me, like he's popular for a reason. He's incredibly fun. I feel like, people, you always feel like you're learning something with the character. And you never feel like it's the character's fault. You never feel like I can't do it. This character, like you never have to. I think sometimes in some people, I've had this in Ultimate especially, and I think in different fighting games it comes up to different degrees. Where sometimes you're like, man, like I'm really struggling with this particular scenario or this particular matchup, and it's just so hard, and I don't know if I can ever overcome it. And I will say with Fox, you always feel like the problem is yourself, and I think that's pretty great because you always feel like you can get better.
Well said.
Okay, that's my pitch. Okay, PP, it's your turn. PP, what do you think about Rumaru saying that you're a Marth player? You find that interesting?
I
Honestly,
kind
I
of
was like, you can have the choice between being a Falco or a Marth. I personally, I got into Melee watching your Marth, so that's why it's like in my head you're a Marth player, not a Falco player. But I know
fair.
Falco is more of what you tend to do.
PP,
I mean, I
you've
like them
heard
both
you've
a
heard
lot.
my thing. You've heard my thing, right? On
Right.
your mains.
Mhm.
Dr.
Yeah.
PP is a Falco player. PPMD is a Marth player. That's my
Right.
that's my headcanon.
Mm.
Anyway, okay.
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I love
Sorry
them
to-
both. No, it's fair. It's fair. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna bring up Falco regardless and say I'll just say real quick. If I'm in a room and I'm in a room with Falco mains, I think as long as Mango's in that room, I think he'll sell you better than I ever could on Falco. So I don't think I have to do anything.
Yeah, but your pitch is really different, so I want to hear your pitch. Mango's pitch
Okay.
is going to be completely different than yours.
All right. Falco's pitch. Do you
Yeah.
like pushing buttons? Do you like not having a lot of free stuff? You get combos. You have to work for your edge guards a lot more than those other characters. You have to.
Wow, this went downhill really fast.
Do you like having to really work and make sure you feel rewarded for everything you do? Falco's your guy. Buttons, combos, effort. It's good stuff. Marth,
Yeah.
different. Okay, Marth's going to be a little bit different. Do you like not pushing as many buttons? Do you like flowing well? Do you like invalidating their character? Marth's the guy for you.
Wow. Yeah? Yeah? You think Marth invalidates more characters than Falco?
Yeah. It
Really?
feels much worse. It feels much worse to have Marth space a forward air or a down tilt on your shield than it does for Falco to shoot a laser kind of near you.
Kind of fair. But like, okay, here's my counter argument. I mean, I think I agree with you, but here's my counter argument, right? Marth, think about characters like Yoshi, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, freaking Ganondorf. Doesn't Marth have a lot of like kind of random ass matchups where like, okay, I'm not saying Marth doesn't do fine in those matchups, but doesn't Marth kind of have to work a lot harder than Marth, Falco, Sheik?
It will depend somewhat. I don't think with Ganon it depends. It's
Ganon, yeah.
But I get your point, and I think that's true. But I also think Marth has more absolute win spots, especially when the opponent's cornered. So I think you still get your feeling of invalidating the character more. You're gonna get that in a more total sense playing the character overall than you will with Falco. Even though I think like Falco doing laser down air back air versus like DK is going to be a little bit easier than Marth doing Marth stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I guess if I had to sell my main and I'm in a room with other Falcons, I feel like we wouldn't care if I were to guess. We'd just be like, you play a character if you want. We'll be here to help you if you want, but if you don't have to play him. I don't know, but yeah, I don't really. I don't really care about selling my main. I just say he's a cool and he's a badass character, and you're gonna look cool while you play him for the most part. So if you want that, that'll be cool. You might like that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at this question.
Well, let's pretend you're not selling it to other people. Let's just rephrase the question as like, what drew you to your main at the start? And the reason I'm curious about it for you, Wizzy, is because I feel like of all the different people I know who play multiple Smash games, you play by far the most different characters. I mean, you play Yoshi in 64.
Yeah.
You play Wolf in Ultimate.
Yeah. Okay.
So why Falcon in Melee?
There's probably like too much to unpack, but it's basically I remember playing Falcon like in Brawl, and I would watch like YouTube videos, and I played him, and I thought he was like super fun. It was in Brawl, and then I saw like brawl combo videos, and then you take that to melee, and then it just kind of amplified everything because like all the combos were actually true and really
Right.
crazy. It's too,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
crazy and stuff. But and then I saw like the Falcon memes, Falcon Punch, and I don't know. I just grew to love the character, and then I played F-Zero, and I just love everything. I
Yeah.
love the character. I love the design. I love how he feels to play. I like Falcon in his games. I like F-Zero, the best racing game, best racing franchise. So like I just started growing like this love for the character in the franchise and the way he plays in the game itself, and playing him in melee, and then watching Isaiah, like everything just my first tournament I like kind of co-main Fox and Falcon, but I think I knew in my heart of hearts I wanted to like be a Falcon main. That would be cooler. But I enjoyed Fox too, and so eventually like I settled. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna play Falcon, and then I stuck with that ever since, and that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I love everything about Falcon and the character, and yeah.
I love that. Falcon's so sick. Do you feel like of all your different characters that you play in different Smash games, like, do you feel like Falcon is the closest to your heart?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah.
I really like that. I mean, Falcon's awesome. I play a good bit of Falcon, on unranked, which is not at high level, but
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I mean, I think Falcon's super dope. I wish I had a
Yeah,
good
I love
Falcon. Yeah, it's just like I think it's I think there's something really rewarding. You know, PP, the thing you were saying where you feel like you earn everything with Falco. I kind of in that way. I kind of feel that way with Falcon too. You know, because like
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like against Spaceys, against Sheik, like characters that just have better buttons than you like, you know, when you like space around it, you get your opening, and then just like you just kill them. It's just like, ooh,
You feel so good when you're
it feels
like
so good.
you're good with Falcon, and like I don't know, all the hard stuff you have to deal with, like Sheik Tech chasing you and stuff. It's like, wow, I don't know. And he's a cool character. Like it's just
He's so cool.
it just feels rewarding to like play a character that's not the best, but also be good with them.
Yeah, yeah. You'll
just-
always be a crowd favorite if you play
it's-
Falcon too.
It's just so fun to hit people with Falcon. He's like choke slamming people, and he's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
crushing them into the ground and stuff. I mean, that's
Very
just, like,
satisfying.
you know.
very satisfying. Back air. Oh, Falcon's
It's
back
kind
air.
of like when you play a Ganon, like you get these strong meaty hits, but your character is actually fast at the same time. That's kind of
Yeah.
like what Falcon is.
Mhm.
Yeah, your Falcon edge guards are sick. Like the whole just flying off stage, like you can go so far, so fast.
Yeah,
They're never ready for it. It's so
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, I like it.
This
Yeah, I
was
wanna play
this
some
was
Falcon. I wanna
fun.
play some Falcon
This is
now.
a fun question. I'm really glad that you asked this, Romer.
Dude, I want to hear. I almost wish we had like a puff or something else. Like it's easy for all of us. I think we all play characters that are easy to sell. I wish we had like a puff on or something. I want to hear what you know what I
You
mean.
can
Like,
sell puff by just being like, oh, your hands are not gonna get screwed up.
yeah, yeah,
You don't have to warm up as much. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
yeah. Have you ever had to worry about getting back to the stage? Well, now you don't.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you're right, Toph. We may need a puff player on.
We'll get HBox next week. We'll ask him the same question. Anyway, great question, Rumaru. Thank you. Any shout outs you want to do?
I just want to say the image of walking into the Falcon room and all of you guys are just like, what? You want us to do what? I don't know. That really stuck with me.
That is funny.
I think that'd be accurate.
Shout outs to my friends. They have weird names, so bear with me. My friend Stabbed and my friend Judas, who hasn't done anything evil to betray me yet, but maybe one day. Shout outs to everyone behind the scenes who helped run this, and shout out to you guys for hosting.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
All right, take care.
Appreciate
See ya.
that. Have a great one,
Thank
Rumaru.
you.
Thank you.
Fun question.
Fun question. Up next, our next caller is queued up, and we got Spencer27 Goldstein. Spencer27 Goldstein, what do you got for us today? Where you calling in from?
Yo, what's up?
Yo.
I'm in South Florida right now, but
Oh, cool.
Played Smash in North Florida. Shout out Tallahassee. Shout out Jacksonville.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But yeah. So my question is, what are your guys' thoughts on the Valorant and Counter-Strike stage striking system? The
Oh, okay.
initial
What is
stage
it?
striking process not only determines the starting stage, but it determines the order the stages will be played in for the entire set. So there is no counter picking after a loss. Would you guys be interested in seeing sets played using this format, or do you think
Break
it
that
would?
break that down for us. How does that give us an example?
So you would, I
Uh,
think, like, I mean, let me guess. I just to make sure if I understand this. So that means, like, in a best of 5, like, you would decide, like, you would play like Battlefield, FD, Dreamland, Yoshi's Fountain, or something, right? Like, you would just
Yeah,
decide that before it starts.
they decide that in a best of there's 7 maps, so in a best of 5, they each get 1 ban. So I think they each pick one stage
Mm.
first, and they each ban one stage, and then they go back and forth and pick the last 3 stages. So that probably wouldn't work in a best of 5 unless we got a new stage in Melee to have 7 stages, but in a best of 3 you could do it.
So
Oh,
let's say, yeah. So let's say it's like, let's say Fox Marth, right? So I'm gonna strike FD. The Marth is gonna strike Dreamland, let's say, and then I'm like, okay, and then we kind of take turns picking the order. Is that? So I would be like Battlefield.
Yeah,
game
you
one.
would each ban one stage, and then you would each pick one stage, and then I think assuming we didn't play on, so it would be 5, so it would actually work with this format. If we just like had
Mhm.
no FD, then there would be one stage remaining after that, and that would be
I
whatever.
think part
Whatever
of the reason we don't do it, part of the reason we don't do it is because if you kind of take turns picking the stages, think about sets that go to 3-0s, right? Like in a 3-0, like if somebody beats somebody 3-0, it's the person who's losing on game one's going to be the neutral, and then game two is going to be like the counter pick. But with this system, I'm kind of assuming you're kind of alternating stages that are good for the one guy and stages that are good for the other player. And so if I win game one, I beat the guy, and then game two is like their good stage, and they lose, so I'm up 2-0. With the current system, they would kind of get to pick again, and it kind of feels like maybe they have a chance to take a game, versus like if they just got beaten game two narrowly, now it's back to my good stage.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of takes some of the the drama out of it, because like you kind of know, like if Zane beats Cody on okay, I don't know. Like, this is the most extreme example. If he beats him on, assume there's the no bans, but you get what I'm saying. If Zane beats him on like Dreamland, and then the next game is going to be on FD, you kind of like, you're like, well, he's probably going to win on FD. It's his good stage now, right? Like,
Why do they do it like that in Valorant Counter-Strike?
yeah.
I assume my guess before he answers, because if I'm right, then I think I have my response to this. But my guess is, in these games, you have the same basic tools at your disposal. None of the characters move faster or shoot faster or have more access to bombs or smokes or anything. It's all up to how you manage your economy and play and all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so I mean, maybe I guess in Valorant you have different abilities you can pick from, so it might be different in that game. But I'm thinking more Counter-Strike right now. Um, it would you're going to be playing to your preferences and theirs, kind of regardless. And the information you get and the way you practice, it may not matter as much. That's my guess. I'm curious to see what Spencer has to say about that.
Mhm.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not actually sure why we do it this way and they do it that way. There is one big difference, and that is that in Valorant, it's always a double blind for the characters. I mean, you're playing 10 different characters instead of
Mm.
1v1, but I don't know. That might have something to do with it. But you
And
don't
they
know the
shuffle
character.
the characters per map too.
Well, it's like you can have like a surprise pick. I don't know what you mean by shuffle, but you can,
You're not locked into the same characters for the whole set.
Yeah, no. You can pick every
Okay.
map.
I think in Melee, yeah, with the way character counterpicking is, I think it's pretty. I mean, character counterpicking has always been a thing in fighting games, where I think in fighting games, usually the way it goes is you can only change characters when you lose. Or they do the winner picks and then loser picks. I'm actually not 100% sure, but regardless, I think that the stage counterpick system in Melee and in Smash evolved around the older character counterpick system in fighting games. And I think that you can't do the Valorant system of map, like predetermined map order, if you keep character counterpicks the way that they currently are. Because the way character counterpicks are in Melee right now, if you had a predetermined map order, it just wouldn't make sense for the loser to be able to counterpick character, because it would just kind of swing things too much. So you could do the double blind every single game thing, but then I think that just incurs a bunch of overhead, right? Because you'd need to double blind literally every game. I think people in Smash like that there's a strategic element to counterpicking somewhat. Like, you feel like you actually kind of gain something for winning the early game. Like, for example, like if I'm fighting, especially like as a Fox, like you really want to win game 1 against Puff or Sheik, because having counterpick advantage matters a lot. And I think if you have predetermined maps, I feel like you kind of lose that element. Now, I mean, maybe you get something else and I just haven't thought it through, but that's my impression anyway.
Yeah, and I think my big thing with it, actually, and I think you brought up really good points there, Toph. I hadn't thought about the character versus stage aspect of it and the history of it. I thought that was really interesting. My thing about it is, if you're playing someone and you don't know what they're going to play like, or if they bring something new,
Good point.
you can't adapt. You can't say, oh, I like, even like
That was like
this
my first thought.
right. If you're working,
Mhm.
even if you're playing a Ditto, right? If you don't know if this is an aggressive or defensive person, you're not going to really know where to go. But then, once you play that first game, you're like, okay, they're aggressive. Going to a big stage would be better. So on and so forth, right? And so I currently, like, if you're playing a Ditto, I think this would work the best, because kind of like in Counter-Strike, that's the same attributes. It's just, where are you more comfortable? And so you could kind of do it that way. But and I mean, maybe we get to a point in Melee where we have more specific types of rules like that for certain matchups. Like, maybe we go that way with like the timer eventually, example, floaty versus floaty or something. I don't know, but for now, I think having the standardized rule set works good. And I don't know why I don't see the advantage to it currently. I mean, maybe if someone that's more that knows that theory, especially in Valorant, where they have different abilities, can explain that. I mean, I could see maybe I could see another perspective. But for me, the
I am
information
curious. Yeah.
you get the information you get throughout the game, and being able to adapt on the fly just seems more valuable. It seems like it just puts more power in the hands of the players, and encourages more adaptation and rewarding that. So that seems great to me. What do you think, Wizzy?
It was just kind of like it just seems like you can't. Yeah, if it's like if it's predetermined, there's not as much room for adapting. So I think basically everything you said is just kind of what I think. So like I feel like I need someone to tell me why we'd want that. Like I don't fully get it. Like I'm not too sure. I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it. It just feels like you don't have as much like room to adapt like mid set with counter picks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, we try to bring people in from other communities and take these other perspectives in. So I'm not saying. I mean, maybe it works great for those games and everything, but I like our system more than that upon hearing about it. But maybe we could.
Yeah, maybe there's something we're missing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Side note, Smash is actually not the only game that does stage counter picks. Catherine, which was a game I used to play competitively and was
that game's cool.
Yeah, I got to a pretty high level in that game, and
Okay.
they actually stole. They took stage counter picks from Smash actually, and they do it the exact same way, and they even use Dave's stupid rule. And they call it Dave's stupid rule too, which is kind of funny.
Nice.
So yeah, they actually, because that game has 9 stages, and that game does not have character counter picks. There's only functionally one character. They all do the same thing. And so in Catherine, it's purely stylistic counter picks. And I guess when I played that game, it was very much, you definitely would counter pick mid set based on how the games have been going. Like if somebody climbs a lot faster than you, you'll take them to stage that forces more interaction where you can kind of mess with them. If you feel like someone's outplaying you in the combat element, then you will try to go to a stage where you can kind of be a little bit like keep away from the opponent and just kind of like do your own thing. Or if you feel like, and even among those like flavors, like certain stages would have certain elements that you felt like you could specialize in. And I would play, and I would have no idea what I would want to. I guess the point I'm making is going into any given set, I would have no idea what my counterpick strategy would be against that person, and almost exclusively, I would be determining what stage I would want to take them to mid set. Like I don't even know how I would choose my stage selection before the set.
It just seems like it'd be like matchups. So like
Yeah,
just,
player matchups.
Like maybe at the highest
player
level,
matchups.
maybe it works out better.
At the highest matchup, yeah, at the highest level, if I'm playing somebody who I've played before, then I might be able to figure it out. Like I would kind of know, you know, I'd be like, okay.
But if they play differently, they brought like a different strategy or they brought a different character or something, then
Which did happen. Well, there's no different characters. There's only one character.
Okay.
But it's true that did happen. People would, you know, from tournament to tournament, they'd bring some new tech or whatever. Because it wasn't the biggest game. It wasn't a huge scene. So people could come up with some strategies or some techniques and kind of hide it until the next tournament. And that happened pretty often. So but yeah, I don't know. I always like that kind of mid-set adaptation thing. But yeah, I mean, I do wonder, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not married to anything. I think that there's plenty of benefits to doing things different ways. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting conversation. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, if any of you guys listening to this, you want to talk about it in the comments. I mean, I do read the comments on Radio Melee. Feel free to educate me. But yeah, I think that's all we got for this here. Interesting question, Spencer, and thank you for calling in. Any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Thank you guys. Yeah, shout out the Samus God Weavens, my good friend Weavens.
Is it
streaming right now?
Weavens?
Everybody go watch his Coinbox run.
Is that how
Thank
it's
you.
pronounced?
I think so.
Holy shit! I've been saying it wrong. I've been saying Wevens. Okay,
I got
Weavens.
corrected. I was calling him Weavens, and someone said no. Actually, it's Wevens, and so now
Oh my god. Okay, well, we'll get to the bottom of it at some point.
one day.
One day.
Oh man. Well, shout outs to your friend who has a name that starts with W, and I won't pronounce it wrongly either way.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Hell
You too.
yeah! Have a
See
good
ya.
one, Spencer. 27 Goldstein. Awesome.
All right.
I do think we have one more question. It's going to be
One more.
Demotum. Demotum? Barely even know him. Well, Demotum, what's your question for us today?
Hi.
Did you guys get it?
I got it. Yeah, it was nice.
Okay, thanks. Wizzy, did you get it?
No.
Okay, it's fine. Demotum, what's your question for us today?
Hi. Yeah, sure. So we all know Melee is a great game, but are there any other games that kind of scratch the same itch as Melee in terms of like speed,
Ooh.
creativity, or like freedom of expression? Do you guys have any recommendations?
Ooh. Wizzy, you're quite the gamer. You can go first.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't know if anything is quite the same. Like, I like the other Smash games, but there is. I don't know. Like, I feels like he wants they want like a Melee equivalent for other stuff. I'm trying to think.
Okay, I have one suggestion that I can just start with. It's not a PvP game; it's a single player game. But I think the only game that I've played in recent memory at all that at least from the movement aspect feels as good as Melee to move around in is Celeste. I think that was
Most
when I was
players
playing.
say that.
You've played it as well, PP
Mm-hmm.
and Wizzy.
I haven't played it, but that was like everyone says that about the game. That was like the first game I thought about, but I never played it, so I couldn't speak on it.
I gotta shout that game out. They literally have wave dashing. They call it wave dashing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same input, basically the same input.
Mhm.
It's like an homage to Melee, but yeah, the air dash system in that game feels really, really good. The levels I think are very cleverly designed in a way that forces you to use the movement. So I do think there are some games that have really fun movement, but like you don't need to use the fun movement to beat the game. But like in Celeste, like you actually need to like learn some of the advanced stuff. And I think the sound design, it's not just like in Melee, it's not just the movement, right? It's also like it feel like the sound design and the visuals make it you feel cool when you do these things because it like looks good and sounds good too, you know? Like we always talk about like the sound it makes when like Marth hits a tipper, like when you knee somebody, you like really feel like, ooh, like I need the, you know.
Yeah.
So Celeste kind of has that. I think the visuals and the like the particle effects and stuff and the sounds, like when you do cool stuff, like when you're moving really clean, like it feels really good. It kind of gets the endorphins flowing, you know? obviously it's not a PvP game. It's a single player game, but yeah, I think it's great, and I think if you're like a melee player that's attracted to the movement aspect of melee, that's definitely a suggestion that I'd like to throw your way.
Oh, you know what? I just had this thought. I was like, do I have a game that like really matches the speed? I was like, maybe kind of, but the PvP doesn't really work. And I haven't played this game, but I saw someone who is a very high level melee player say, this is one of the closer games to melee I've played. So I thought I'd give it a shout out, and that's Cody Schwab talking about Guns, the Duel, that FPS game where you can like run on buildings and it's very technical.
Yeah.
It was made around the same time. I think that might be another one to shout out. But I mean, even
Wait,
then,
which
Is
game?
it Gunzy or whatever it's called?
Guns, GUN, and then capital Z.
Oh, yeah, Guns the Duel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said buildings, and I thought you were talking about Fortnite.
You run.
I thought you were doing like an advanced. I thought you were doing an advanced joke about Fortnite.
Fortnite is
The
melee.
deep
Fortnite.
Fortnite lore. Yeah, I'm such a Fortnite fan, and this is my moment. I'm a Zoomer at heart, and
I thought that's where you were going with that. Oh my god. Okay, sorry.
I'm just such a big fan of Bugga ever since he won that.
Side
tournament.
note, I don't mean to disparage Fortnite anyway. By the way, I have heard that Fortnite is actually pretty cool at the top level. At least back when building was a thing. I think they got rid of building. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, I think there's like a mode, a zero build mode. I don't really know, but
okay.
but it's still crazy.
It does look pretty technical. Like I've seen clips of like high level Fortnite back when building was a thing, and like it does look difficult to do. So.
Yeah, there it seemed like there was some pretty neat depth to it. Fortnite fans, I'm sure you can educate us on how the striking system works in Fortnite, along with the Valorant and CS people. We're gonna get all the esports talking in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Guns the Duel was the one I wanted to shout out.
Bring up, yeah. Cody plays that.
I see there's a lot of focus on like movement and stuff, and when I think of games that like crazy like advanced tech or movement, I think of like F-Zero GX on the GameCube.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's a racing game, so it's like a completely different style of like how the game plays, but
That's fun though.
That game has some crazy, like if you look at the TASs or
even the speed runs.
Yeah, the speed runs, like that game has that. I consider that game like the melee of racing games.
I think that you would not be the only person to say that. Yeah.
I
had a roommate in college that played melee and also played F-Zero GX, and he was really into it.
Yeah, that's great. That's good.
But I just don't think anything scratches the same itch, man. I mean, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It's just not the same.
Not in the exact same way. Damn, I'm sure a lot of people. I never really got into it because I got into fighting games too late. But I know a lot of people talk about Marvel 2, the way that melee players talk about melee.
Yeah.
So that would be one. I'm really excited personally for Marvel 3 at this year's Evo. I'm gonna watch it.
I used to watch Marvel 3 a lot. So
right? I feel like a lot of melee players from our era watched a lot of Marvel 3 because like we were at the same, it was like the same era at Evo. There's a lot of overlap. So yeah, man. I think a lot of people would say Rocket League. I haven't really played Rocket League, but I hear that from a lot of people. That it's like there's heavy emphasis on, and it's also a PvP game. Granted, it's a team game, so it's a little different, obviously. And it's like
you can 1v1 though.
Sure, yeah. And I think the it's got the same thing with melee, where like things that were considered extremely advanced, like 3 or 4 years ago, are now like everyone can do them, and the meta is always rapidly expanding in terms of the things that like people are able to do. So I guess I got to shout out the Rocket League community, even though I don't play it myself.
Sure, valid. I mean, there's some cool games out there, cool mechanics. Always good to kind of shout them out. Nothing feels to me like melee does.
Like melee,
it just doesn't feel close. And this is not a melee elitism moment. I mean, I think there are plenty of great things out there, but for me, there's just nothing. This is nothing even close to melee.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, frankly, like if you want like the actual real answer of like the game that feels this close to melee, it's literally PM. Like, I mean, you can play the same. You could play literally melee characters, right? So it's kind of a cheat answer.
PM players may not be happy with that answer, but we'll say it.
They would. I think they would agree, right? In the sense that like literally if you can play melee, you can probably play PM at like a passable level and vice versa. I think that like
Sure.
mechanically it's just the closest, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess the last thing I'll shout out, the last game I'll shout out, of games I actually did play a good bit of was the old Guilty Gear XX. And Xrd too, but I just didn't play that much Xrd. But that's the only game where like that's the only fighting game that I've played where like when I watch clips of the best players, like the people who like stuck with that game, like I'm just like flabbergasted at like the combo routes people come up with. And like I've definitely played old Guilty Gear and felt like, even though I wasn't very good, I was like, dude, I really see how you can just come up with bullshit on the fly and like it'll probably work. Whereas, which is kind of like, it's kind of like in Melee. Like in Melee, like if you think you can probably do something, you probably can. Whereas I think a lot of modern fighting games, like there's kind of like a rigid system. Whereas I feel like when I played old Guilty Gear, it really felt like you could get away with like a lot. And like just the way the game engine works, like it's like really deep. And if you watch combo videos too, like people do crazy shit where they're like manipulating the physics of characters, and it's just like, yeah. You know, there was the whole cheating scandal because like someone was literally like too technical.
Oh
And then he had to
wow.
like prove his, that was like a couple
Oh,
months
wow.
ago.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, people thought he had like a macro for his like Roman cancel input or whatever, and he had to like
Wow.
prove that, or his like, yeah.
Check
People
it.
thought
Anji
people
Suchet.
basically thought he had like a the equivalent of like a multi-shine
Dude.
macro, but he didn't. He didn't.
That's
so he
kinda
finally
hype.
shot it. Yeah, he
And
shot a
that
hand
means,
cam.
that also means that like when he proved it, that he did it under pressure of being called a cheater, and he still clutched it, which is
Yeah,
so sick.
exactly. He
Wow.
just went
So
through.
sick.
He basically just like hooked up a hand cam and he went through his practice routine, and like he was like, "See, like I can just do it." I mean, he didn't get it every time, but he got it like 80% of the time. You know, which if anything is more believable than
Yeah,
yeah.
that's tight.
Anyway, but yeah, curious what else you played, Demotum.
No, I was gonna say Celeste. I haven't played it, but I've seen speedruns, and I think that it lives up to like the Melee kind of vibes. I see that too. And then I'm glad that you guys mentioned some single player games because I picked up Melee in like 2015, honestly through Project M from the Brawl pipeline, and I haven't had the same kind of love for single player games since I found Melee. It's kind of turned me off just because Melee is just that magical, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
If
Feel
you could
that.
find, like if you can find a game that, like if you can find a game that like to speedrun that has like good movement, that can maybe give you somewhat of like a similar feel, because like there's like tight execution, frame tight tricks and stuff that could possibly give you something similar to like Melee.
He's speaking from
That's a good
experience.
point. Yeah. A lot of the great Melee, like very technical Melee players I know in the past, like have become speedrunners. People like Silent Wolf, people like Ryan
Yeah.
Ford. There's a lot, honestly. A lot of carryover between
Armada.
Armada is a great example.
Classic, yeah.
It's just,
Okami BW, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw him
Okay.
in the top 10 for Virtual Console Super Mario 64 or something.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, oh shit, I know that guy. Yeah. I think it's SM64.
Hmm.
Yeah, speedrunning, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great. Dude, I always wanted to learn Mega Man X2 for speedrunning.
Mm,
I just always love that game. Mega Man X is like very near to my heart.
yeah.
And I know those games like have really like
They're good speedrun choices.
they're good speed games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ryan Ford runs. I think he runs Mega Man X, among other things, maybe.
Yeah,
So
I think he does a few things.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But hey, good discussion. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you to Modem for calling in and asking your question. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Sure, yeah. Shout out GG Melee YouTube. That goat pyramid video was pretty cool. Checking that out over lunch, like that. And also to everyone that goes 0-2, I just went 0-2 in Coinbox. So shout out to everybody going through it.
Going through it.
Solidarity.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye, Demotum.
Well, a lot of good questions, a lot of good discussion, a lot of good things to be said, but there's really one more very important thing that needs to be said, Mr. Wizzrobe, and that is the community voice. the question only you could ask the good people of the GG Melee YouTube comment section. So
Mhm.
what is your question?
I just want to ask the people what do they want to see from me if they could choose. So like, do you want to see more tournaments? Do you want to see content? Like, is there something you specifically want to see from me? I'm curious to see what you guys say. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I have an answer.
What?
I thought of an answer for this question. I want to see
Okay.
a stream where you do a stream. I know you've done this before with the whole Enon thing, kind of, but I want
Yeah.
to see a stream where you only guess on every tech chase.
Like, just play the exact same way, but guess.
Like you just, you don't reaction tech chase. You just,
That might be a good experiment, actually.
you just.
Yeah, I think you
only-
could, like,
you
that could
only
be
like
useful, yeah.
stop at side B and down smash and knee. Yeah, you don't reaction tech chase. And you don't cover options. I think that'd be a lit stream.
Okay.
Yeah, and
think-
like we
I
said,
think
I
it
think
could
it
be a
could
good
actually be
experiment.
useful. Yeah, it could be useful too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my idea.
Okay,
But
I might do that.
just put that in your notepad of stream
All
ideas,
right,
I guess.
I'll write it down.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh, he's writing it down. It's happening, gamers.
Oh my god,
Look at him.
I gotta make sure I'm there when this happens. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is good.
Okay.
If I had to answer this question, I would just say I want to see you happy and healthy. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. I
Don't
appreciate
we
that.
all? Don't we all want that for Wizzy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
I
answer.
want to see it for PP too.
Oh, thank you.
I do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, on that beautiful, very wholesome, very lovely note, I think this has been a wonderful episode. I think we started strong, ended strong, and it's just a great time. Wizzy, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a
Yeah.
really fun one.
I had a lot of fun. I'm glad I was on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Toe, thank you so much for holding it down. Great discussion, great insight, great laughs today, man.
Well, thank you, PP. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And thank you, everyone out there, callers, listeners, viewers, all.
Nah,
We're
screw
outta
those guys. Nah, I'm just kidding. You guys are all right.
Toe was speaking specifically to the Fortnite people with that one.
No, they're fine. They're fine. Hey, I don't want any smoke with the Fortnite people. There's 4,000 million of them.
Oh my god, that's true.
Okay, we won't clip that then. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. This was a fun episode of Radio Melee. We'll be back next week. But for now, this is Radio Melee signing out.